Warning, this show contains topics related to real-life events where we are always 100, and is not for the weak-hearted or simple-minded audience. Content may be too real at times, and opinions will be voiced and untamed. You are strongly advised to stay out your feelings and keep that bitch-ass shit to a minimum. Enjoy the show.
I suppose you could say naughty.
Alright, this is RekaJ from the A where my homies don't play, and this is my co-host Tip Top, and this is the Always1Hunnid show. Yeah. Welcome to the Always1Hunnid show. I'm RekaJ from the A where my homies don't play.
And I'm Tip Top.
And today's topic is enough is enough. We are here with a few black men, and we're going to pick their brains and see where they're coming from today. I have Jamal here, who is a 27-year-old business owner. He's also a coach, a personal trainer, and he has 2 LLCs. I have Dr. Vincent Jones here. He is an assistant principal up in Nashville, and he's also a financial consultant. I have Mr. Red Lowe here. Red is an activist in the community, and he's also Kilo's ex-DJ. So, we're going to get started, and we're going to let Tip Top take the floor.
Okay. Well, I have some questions to start off with. As a black man, what does enough is enough mean to you?
Well, I guess I'll start it off. For me, enough is enough just means that the things that we've done before will have to be, I guess, moved to another level. Meaning that, yeah, we protested before. Yeah, we've been killed by police, and people that aren't police. I want to make sure that's very clear that police are not the only ones killing black people out here. But enough is enough. We've seen enough. We've done this step enough. It's time to move to another step, another level.
Okay, so playing the devil's advocate, black on black crime, how does that relate to you as far as the saying enough is enough? Because I see it's going on in the media as far as they relating it to black on black crime, comparing it to what's going on now. Like, well, we keep killing our own people, but we protesting against cops.
So for me, black on black crime is one of the biggest lies told to our people, only because black on black crime isn't as bad as they try to make it seem. Mm-hmm. That being said, if I could get a little conspiracy on y'all, most of the black on black crime you see being done in your neighborhoods is actually done by the government. There are not a lot of drive-by shooting going on no more. There are not a lot of people on the block standing outside to get shot anymore. The block has been dead since the 90s. So for people to still believe it's a lot of black on black crime, that's just a narrative that the media is trying to push on you. We love our people.
Okay. I would have to differ because being prior law enforcement, I've seen it. So I know it happened before the 90s. I got out of law enforcement in 2015, so I've seen it. I was shot at by black guys on Old National. So I know black on black crime happened against women, law enforcement, period. So, yeah. Dr. Jones.
Well, when you say, well, what do I think? It goes really deep when you say enough is enough. When I think about it, I would start with as black men, I just get tired of us trying to, I guess, lie to ourselves and look past the problems that we have. You know, we out here marching, and that's great, and they see us, but we're not really honest and good with being honest with ourselves as black men, because I think people see us as weak when we show that what we don't know, when we show where we're vulnerable. You know, in our community, we all about keeping up a facade or keeping up a wall of what people see. But I think until we start being honest with ourselves about what we're not doing in our community, about things that's not going on in the black homes because of you arguing with the mother of your child, and the things, we have to start having some truthful, hard statements. And I tell my kids all the time that the hardest thing for anybody to do is the Michael Jackson, and look yourself in the mirror and face that person before you go outward and try to grow others. So I don't know. Enough is enough of the lying to ourselves. Enough is enough of not standing up for our people, our women, and as a whole, I say if the shoe fits, then wear it. But as a whole, it's like it almost makes me feel a sense of shame because I wasn't that guy, or I have in the past years ago, before I started on a journey, I wasn't that guy to check somebody, say, hey man, pull your pants up. It's a style, but it has some dignity. Or hey, we can't use this word or that word, or so. It's just so much.
So this is the question that I want to ask, and Red, maybe you can help. I'm reading this book again, The Souls of Black Folk, which was written in 1903. And some of the things that W.E. Du Bois was talking about in his book, we're here today in 2020. So we can protest, we can talk, we can march. We've done that. We've done it for years. We've been talking for years, and I respect people having, dialogue and things like that, and what I'm seeing on Facebook and people. The problem that I see is that everybody has a different route. There's different ways to the top of the mountain, right?
That's
Right.
right.
But the view is all the same.
And the goal should be consistent.
Right.
The goal, meaning to reach the top,
Okay.
to reach a higher standard, to become more accountable, to be responsible as a father, a husband, a community person in the community. That should be a consistent goal. To just basically hold ourselves as men, women, people to a higher standard.
Right.
Regardless of what is popular, polo, Azad, that shouldn't interfere with humanity.
And that's the biggest thing for me is that right now it seems like protesting is the new thing to do. Right? You say it's cool that we're out there, but it feels like everybody out there to take pictures. Everybody out there to
Right.
Absolutely.
This is a new
Absolutely.
era though, because of social media. I don't know how old you are, it's irrelevant, but we are in 2020. We all are in 2020. Social media is prevalent, and that is the thing. As
Right.
opposed to me, I tell on myself, I'm 48. And like brother said, we grew up in a time where we didn't have so much documentation and a paper trail of everything we did. So that's a difference that I'll tell on myself about. So I can relate to both sides. There is a good and a bad to technology, having it and not having
Where the
it.
fuck is Quentin?
Well, I think, and I want to circle back to what RekaJ was saying about W.E.B. Du Bois, and we have to recognize how we as black men have historically been pitted against each other. And I'm gonna start back with the two main historically the opposition to Du Bois was Booker T. Washington.
I love it.
And they had two different mindsets of
That's right.
what we needed to be or what we need to be as black men.
BT.
Du Bois said, look, we need intellects. We need the people to go and be in the classroom. We need scientists. We need academia. Yes, sir. And Booker T. Washington, who founded Tuskegee, said, hey, no, we need to learn skills with our hands. We need to learn electrical work, masonry work. But both were right.
Both are right, absolutely.
You need both.
And so what I see is one of our downfalls is, and that was, I believe, that was purposely pitting them against each other to cause the black divide in men, if you look at it, because it's all been systematic. But we have to admit to ourselves that we have a certain anger against each other in a certain sense. Because if you can say, hey, I'm going to join this gang as blue, and I'm going to join this gang as red, and I'm going to kill you based on a color, then there's some underlying hate that we have. We as black men have to forgive each other. We got to start there.
Definitely.
That's just a thought.
But also to add, I don't think that we can allow or afford to allow outsiders to come in and allow outsiders to pit us against each other. I think that is a weakness.
That's what's
and
going on.
And a mental illness for us to allow people to come into our homes and track dirt into our homes. We can't allow that.
I totally agree with you.
We can't allow that as people, not just men, as women, as all of us as a collective. We have to all, like I said, a common goal. We have to have a semblance. We have to all move together in unison, and we can't allow that, whether it happened or not in the past or now. We cannot be that simple in 2020.
Cannot be that simple.
Because we still talking about things that transpire in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, whatnot. And here we are in 2020, somewhat talking about some of the same things that Dr. Martin Luther King and all the other good brothers and historians, have had to live through.
And I think the issue with that is it comes from a place of us not having enough tools, us not knowing, us not spreading knowledge amongst ourselves to say, come on, let me show you this. Come on, let's go to the streets. Come on, go to the streets with me.
Can I say this? Or having those tools, but finding it easier to stay in one mind frame than to use those tools, because change is effort.
Absolutely.
Change is hard.
Absolutely.
And understanding.
Change is inevitable too.
And it's also inevitable.
Yeah.
And understanding when you say we can't allow those people to come between us, understanding what tools are used to come between us.
Definitely.
Because I listen to lyrics now.
Definitely.
And I've been listening to lyrics for all my life.
That's right.
I've been to many cities. I live in Nashville now. The only radio station that plays the lyrics that kill us are the urban radio stations. You can't turn to 107.5 in Nashville and hear I'm gonna kill you for money, I'm gonna do drugs, my women are bitches. You can't hear that on those radio stations, but as soon as you turn to the urban station, that is the media. So I think we need to having the conversation of
Check that.
And recognizing those things.
Definitely.
So for me, if I could chime in just momentarily, I love the fact that you two gentlemen are speaking on this, because for me, when I first began my process of learning about my history, and I call it my story, not his story, I was remiss because there wasn't many older black gentlemen around that were out there to talk to me about these things, that were able to discuss not only how we were wronged in the past, but what we can do in the future so this won't keep happening. The biggest thing for me was the book that I read by Chancellor Williams, The Destruction of the Black Civilization. And in that book, he really details and describes how prior to the Anglo-Saxon leaving his cave and coming to Al-Kabalon, the original name of Africa, there was no written word in our language for jail. We were able to build these great dynasties and have a society without the need for police, without the need for jail. So for that to be the reason that we're here now protesting, it just shows me that this isn't from our making.
And also you have to understand the root and where this stuff comes from. Police are human beings, right?
Definitely.
And the police was created to catch slaves.
Come on now.
Right? They were created as slave catchers. Midnight watchers is what they called them. Right? So, and I think that knowing that history, understanding that history, and building relationships with those people that don't understand us, where we come from, that's how you promote change. Bring that awareness to the table.
Exactly. I think another huge issue will be the prison system, more specifically the private prison system. I don't know how many people are aware of, but after slavery ended, like you said, the police were originally there to catch slaves. When there were no more slaves to catch, what were the police used for? They used these petty offenses. If you stole a candy bar, you went to prison. If you looked at a white lady the wrong way, you went to prison. And that made you a slave again under the Emancipation Proclamation, which did not end slavery, it abolished slavery. It changed, it transformed slavery from being out there in bondage to now we have you in prison. You still work for us.
Okay, so I want to bring it back because initially I want to know how you feel as a black man right now in society right now. We're not talking about history. We're not talking about everything else. I want to know how you feel as a black man right now like when you pull out your driveway, when you get stopped by the police, when you anything going into a store and you see a white woman, she's looking at you to see if you're looking at her bags, or if you have bags, or you gonna follow her to her car.
Right.
How do you feel as a black man in the community? I mean, as a whole right now.
Well, honestly, I can't answer that question without going into the historical facts, because the reason that white lady might feel that way, it's not her fault. She's been conditioned to feel that way. When I pull out my driveway, if I see someone that I might suspect to be racist, it's not their fault. The system has conditioned them to feel that way.
No, I'm talking about how you feel, not how the white woman would feel. I'm talking about how you feel right now. How do you feel with what's going on?
I honestly feel that if we want to progress, we have to learn our history first.
Are you angry?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm focused.
Okay.
Okay,
far
so
from angry.
Dr. Jones, how do you feel right now as a black man?
Well, I'm really transparent, and I try to, I am who I am. So I have 6 kids. I wake up, I'm fearful. That's my first feeling. I'm fearful. I guess I'm a tough guy, but when you have other lives that you have to think about and worry about, I'm anxious every night. I'm not sleeping well at all. But I'm also courageous. I'm willing to control the things that I can control, team with others. I'm willing to set my ego aside and say, hey, you can do this better than me. I may not agree with you, but hey, what's your idea? What do you propose?
Okay. So let me ask you this: Are you telling your sons, hey man, when you leave and the police pull you over, be on your best behavior?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the sad part is that we even have to have these conversations. It's almost like you saying you got to be a good little nigga.
So I've actually my sons drive. I've actually bought them the camera from the rear view that you can click when you pulled over. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, man, I get in their face and I say, right now when you're pulled over, it is not the time.
Real quick, how much that camera cost?
It costs like $30-something.
Don't nobody in my generation know about that camera. I didn't know it was a camera like that.
Yeah. And so I tell them, when you're pulled over, it's not the courtroom. If your officer, I don't care about your ego or how you feel. If you were wrong, don't ask no questions. You do as you're told. And I know you have so many people gonna be watching. Well, I wouldn't do this. Well, I wouldn't do that. I don't give a damn about my son's ego at that time. I'm trying to get my sons back home. We can deal with what issues they have in the courtroom, because that's the system that's placed. When you argue, when you resist, you give people an excuse to say, I can kill you.
Okay, Red, I got to ask you, because that's why I want to know where you feel. What do you feel right now?
How do I feel as a black man?
Right now.
Right now, at 48, I feel great because I possess the ability to communicate. Now, I say that to say this. In my whole 48 years experience, I ain't gonna lie, I don't have a lot of horror stories with the police. Because like I said, I think the ability to communicate with people and be to express yourself, tell on yourself, hey man, I got this. And just be clear, transparent, up front. I think a lot of times you avoid a lot of mess.
Right.
But when you operating deceitful,
absolutely,
and double-handed and double-tongued and finessing and scamming, you run into trouble. I don't care what color you are. So I just think the way I have moved in life, because I have been raised by the village, family, and I am spiritual. So I do have God in my life. So I have a spiritual base. I have a community base. I'm structural. I'm a structural person, and because I would get checked as a youngin'. I'm talking about elementary school. I would get checked. I come from a different era. So at 48, as a black man, I feel great. I ain't gonna lie. Now I do empathize with a lot of the struggle and all that is going on currently. And I want to get active and kind of get out there. If I have time, because I have obligations to my family. But at the same time, to answer your question, I feel great. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna sit and tell you no horror stories.
Right. So you do.
I don't have no horror stories, to be perfectly honest with you, and I'm blessed for that. I'm not trying to stand on no mountaintop or grandstand.
Right.
I am blessed for that.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, I have structure.
Okay, so you do feel like your life matters.
Definitely. All of our lives matter.
Right.
All of us sitting up here.
So-
I come from a collective.
Going off of that statement, you saying all lives matter. How do you feel about that statement when they say
I think
Black
it's
Lives
true.
Matter?
I think it's true. I think to set trip, like how he referenced blue and red, Bloods matter. No, Crips matter. Qs matter. No, Kappas matter. AKAs matter. No, Deltas matter. See, we can all get into a level of prejudiceness. I spoke about this before, talking about prejudice. And I think all human beings have a level of prejudice.
Absolutely.
Whether we tell the truth and tell on ourselves or not. A lot of people ain't got the ability to tell on themselves.
Absolutely.
We'll point the finger, tell on Jethro and Jimbo and Billy Bob, but we won't snitch on JoJo and Lil Ray Ray them.
Right.
Lil homie them. We won't tell on them because in our culture, we are taught what?
No snitching.
Snitch, no snitch.
Snitches get snitches.
That's
Stick.
All that route.
That's one thing. I work in the inner city in Nashville, and I don't even understand how people don't realize that phrase, snitching. You a snitch. Man, that causes more trouble.
It's ridiculous.
In my mom's neighborhood, if they saw someone doing wrong, they're going to jail.
Kept my ass in trouble,
There's
boy.
sign, and we in Southwest Atlanta, we're in a black neighborhood.
To tell them my
If you're
ass
doing
all the
something
time.
wrong,
Take
you're
pride
going
in
to
our
jail.
stuff too.
Right, and we take pride in it. So when we say
We work hard too.
enough is enough,
Yeah.
that's part of enough is enough.
That's being
If
responsible.
you commit a crime, you need to be held accountable. Stop
Absolutely.
robbing,
There it
stealing.
is.
Absolutely.
Have a mind shift of, I'm tired of finessing. I'm gonna
Scamming.
have to work
Scamming.
hard because we only have two numbers to worry about. That's the day you was born
And the day
and
you
the
die.
day you're gonna die. What footprint are you gonna leave between those two numbers on this earth?
So-
how will people talk about you?
So
Enough is enough,
So
man.
Vincent and Red, your responsibility as a black man is to go back, pull Jamal up.
Definitely.
Let me show you something, little buddy. Because if you don't know, you can't grow.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of kids out here that want to be better,
Don't know.
but they don't have any options. They don't have anybody to show them. Let me show you something. So what I'm thinking as a collective and as a whole is that instead of us waiting, we need to go out here and teach these kids how to put up some drywall. We need to go out here and teach these kids. Do you know, me and my brother were talking about this earlier, but the simple things like knowing how to shop in the grocery store. Our mother taught us when you go in the grocery store, you start on the out aisles, right?
Produce and
So
good
it's kind of
food.
like the basic skills that have not been taught. They're not in school. They're not being taught in school. So by the time you get 27 years old and you out here trying to figure it out and fend for yourself, a lot of times kids get lost and they end up in the system and they end up committing crimes and they end up dead
Right.
because ain't nobody took the time to say, "Come here, young man." And what I know is that most kids that end up in the system come from a background that didn't have the support. They are a product of their own environment. So enough is enough, right? We got to stop doing this and go out here in these streets. Pull up at the gas station. Don't be scared to walk in a crowd of kids and say, "Hey, man, what y'all learn today?" Because that's how I'm doing it. That's how I'm doing it.
That takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of
Let
courage.
me ask you this too, Reka. That's good.
Hold on before you hold that, because we're going to take a commercial break right quick, okay? Hold that thought, Red. Marinate on that. I'm RekaJ from the A. We're going to take a commercial back. We'll be right back.
More questions aside, is that they cannot win and their participants know it. Hence, rioting is not revolutionary but reactionary because it invites defeat. It involves an emotional catharsis, but it must be followed by a sense of futility. Dr.
I just said a prayer for my nigga, he said he tired. I said, what you mean? He said I'm tired of being tired. If you killed another nigga, forget I might have to slide. And depending on how I'm feeling, nigga, I might have to die. I can't keep on living this life. My pain is running deep inside. Just try to give you anything we need to do like hate it. If a cracker put me over, it's a chance that I'ma die. Drive my mama crazy cause she know I'm in the streets. Ever since I was a youngin', I was running from police. He might think I got a gun and I look back and find that funny. Cause even though I did, I thought you pulled the key to peace. We in the belly of the beast and we fed on. Black kings and queen, keep your head on. If we really wanna change, we got a man on. We gotta put this shit together, you know a plan, bro. It ain't gon' happen overnight, this shit been going on for years. We can't let it go in vain, all the blood, sweat, and tears. Mad you fucking up the city, hope you ready to rebuild. Say the same nigga still be the same nigga kill. We can run us some millions, black mean brilliant. If you ain't with us, motherfucker, you against us. I done did some shit in my past I repent for. It's a revolution, don't regret your decisions. Running out of options, we got tired of playing defense. Everybody right, cause it's clear that they ain't hearing shit. Say they make a change, we gotta start with our children. I feel like your pain, all my life I had to deal with it. Can't say what we got, cause we got it out the mud. They can't relate with us, we too loving. God bless the ones that's peaceful and thuggin'. Right now we can't afford to lose nothing. Damn.
All right, and we are back from commercial break. I'm RekaJ from the A.
And I'm Tip Top.
And we are going to pick up where we left off. And Red was going to give a comment. So go ahead, Red, pick up where we left off.
You mentioned how we as black men should get out in the community, embrace young brothers, the younger generation, and kind of approach them and try to reel them in. Hey, man, kind of show them the way. And that's true. I agree. But here's the thing I just want to bring to the table. Even when we do those types of, give those types of efforts, when those children go home, they still are relegated to their parents and their environment. So what's going to naturally dictate their lifestyle is their parents. So until we can kind of make better households and create a better family structure once again, I don't know. You can help.
Now, like they say, most of the parents now my age and younger. You gotta take that into account.
So again, a lot of the parents need some help too. Because the world is not perfect. None of us are perfect. So I just think that in the effort, I just think ultimately we are going to have to find some type of way to foster better family structure.
I'm going to tell you what I found from my mentoring program with the kids that everybody threw away. I did a program twice a month, I think it was. And the more the kids got involved, they went home and started telling their parents. Because their parents want to know, well, who is this person that's got all your attention?
Right.
So for me, I feel like the younger generation is more open to listening than the older generation because we so set in our ways.
Yeah, right.
Right? So I have seen it and have been successful with reaching the parents through the children. And I think that if we start there, then the parents will want to get on board because they become interested, you know?
Awesome.
So I think you make a great point, Red, and I say, brother, don't get discouraged. And I know you're not, and I can tell by just talking to you. So I look at, you mentioned Du Bois earlier. Du Bois said over 100 years ago that we will have a talented 10th. The talented 10th of the African American community that will lead us. I feel like we are all part of that talented 10th. We are progressive, we are thinkers, we are those who are moving forward. So what I suggest is know your strengths. I know I'm a great assistant principal. That's my pie. I know guys who are organizers. That's their pie. We as brothers have to connect with each other. And we have to understand that this change that we want, we've been persecuted over 400 years. It's not going, just like losing weight. If you're 35 and you weigh 400 pounds, it's not going to come off in 6 months. It took you 35 years to get 400 pounds. And so when we do our part and we push, we have a talented 10th. We're right here in Southwest Atlanta, Cascade Road, and the whole community is a thriving black community. If we do our part, we'll get a talented 10th and a talented 15. But you imagine what footprint we would have if we had the talented 30th percent. So I say, I'm not a marcher. My sister, we had a debate years ago about, Vincent, you need to get out there and march. Vincent, you need to get out there. And I said, Rick, I love you, but that's not my strength. My strength is being in these high schools and talking at conferences, speaking with people, and moving who I can move. Now, what we tend to do is if she has a good idea and I don't like it, I come up and kill her dream, kill her drive. Man, why would you do that? We done did that. Man, watch Facebook. Look at all these men out here arguing instead of saying, hey, that sounds like a good thought. How can I support? I'm not a marcher, I'm not an organizer, but I'm pushing her, say, you go organize, I'm going to get the kids. Jamal, he's not a assistant principal, but he's a coach. He has kids. I say, you do this and you do that. We have got to, as black men, stop being so isolated.
Learn how to agree to disagree. And speaking of that, I heard a radio broadcast today about T.I., and he said something about everybody don't have to be on the forefront, because we need somebody in the back, the side, on the corners, in the trenches, in the deep, or wherever. We need everybody, because if we all in the front, then we gonna get shot all in the front.
How about that?
Everybody want to be the chief, not enough Indians.
Right. So who gonna be in the back? Cause somebody need to know how to do paperwork, and know how to do filing, know how to do recording, read.
On my Instagram, I posted that if we really wanted to show change, we needed solidarity. And by doing that, I suggested that all the African American, I hate using that term, I'll say black, all the black cops and black military personnel should lay down arms. And to that, I did get a lot of blast back from military personnel, and saying things like, well, you don't know what happened if we put these things down, we'll go to jail, and this, that, and the other. There was another young lady that threw all these acronyms at me, the UCMJ, the LOAC, these are just like NATO. Why would you throw the North Atlantic Treaty Organization at me? That had nothing to do with my post. So for my generation to throw that at me, because most of y'all are buying Camaros with that money. Most of y'all are buying Chargers with that money. Y'all not really out there to protect our country. So you're not fooling me.
So were you looking for the black cops to put down their weapons? Or was that
every black person on the planet of the earth to unite? We're not the only black people on the planet Earth getting oppressed in America. It happens in Britain, it happens in Africa, it happens in Asia, India, it happens everywhere. The reason that this is happening, though, you don't see Chinese kids getting shot. You don't see Arab kids getting shot.
Okay,
but they got a country backing them. They know that if American cops start killing those kids, that country gonna ride for them.
Okay, so but if they have this, if black cops have this career, that's their career, and that's how they're feeding their families. And if you're a deputy sheriff, a police officer, and you're sworn in to do a certain job, how do you expect them to lay down their weapon?
That's when you question the system. If the system really did care about you being a good cop, if you put down that to support a good cause, they will keep paying you.
No.
In my opinion, a black cop becomes the same thing as a white person who says nothing. Your silence is the same as being involved.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to stop, because I came from law enforcement. I did 10 years as the deputy sheriff of Fulton County, Rice Street, one of the dirtiest places to be in Georgia. Period. That's on Scared Straight and everything. But to say there's no good cops.
Never said it.
Okay, I didn't say you said it. But to say that we got to lay down our weapons, you want us to lay down our weapon. If I lay down my weapon,
I understand.
In the same instant,
I totally understand.
Black men.
So
gonna shoot me.
No, don't lay down your weapon in a rule of engagement. I mean, the rules of engagement tell you when and how to attack. I'm saying those cops that are out there right now on the front line, behind the masks, standing with their guns up, put it down on TV. Turn your back and look at your fellow cops, look at your brothers and say, I'm with them now.
And I want to bet you how many of the ones that's agitators, the ones that's not out there really protesting, gonna pick up that weapon and gonna turn it towards somebody else.
Let me chime in, Tip. I think what you're saying is, and quote me if I'm wrong, the way it comes to me, laying down your weapon is kind of symbolic.
Yes.
Back now we're at a new avenue of change. We're at a crossroad right now. So you laying down your weapon as a black cop, and you said to yourself, Wright Street was the dirtiest place in Atlanta. If it's like that today, if you see something, say something. We have the power of
That
social
happened.
media.
That happened. But see, y'all don't see that it happened because y'all not in that field. Like it's like doctors. They malpractice. Nurses going to sleep. You got the CNAs doing stuff. School teachers, they're not really teaching. They got a parapro that's doing the stuff. You got all this other stuff. But see, y'all see this profession because it's televised and it's on the media and whatever. So you don't see. Hold up. So you don't see everything that go on. Me being a good officer, of course. So if I tell on somebody, here you go, Tiffany, oh, you going on third shift. We gonna send you down to the female jail, or we gonna send you down. So I'm getting blackballed.
So I get, y'all know we could sit here and say what has happened, what the solution to a lot of these things, I think, and it's a start. If you're persecuted on your job, it may come a point where you have to find a lawyer and file suit. Make it known in the books of law. And I know you could rebut that and say, well, that's been done. But I would say we find the avenues now that we can use for those things not to happen, because injustice is injustice. And if you see it, it's kind of like you have to bring out the injustice. And the fear of that is, I have 6 kids at home. I have a job and I can't feed them. And so there is a fear. But that's what's happened historically with all these black leaders who have had powers. They were put in position of power, given money. And I don't want to dishonor anything by saying they were paid off, but you have to, if you're knowledgeable of the system, you have to know that some of these people, you put them in a nice house, good job, nice neighborhood, and they go to sleep. But right now, we're woke. And so 2 things I want to tell this young man. I've experienced young people, and you said it earlier, the power of the young people. Do y'all know how much power, strength, courage it takes to get out on a block and sell dope? If we can convince these young people to take this other road that we're at a crossroad, it would be very powerful. These young people, man, can be game changers for us all.
But what's going to have to happen is somebody's going to have to come in physically
and be there.
Take some money, put it in front of them, and show them how to clean it. Somebody's going to have to show them physically, because they don't want to hear that. I'm making $1,000 a night, bro. What the hell you bringing to me where I'm going to make this kind of money?
Right.
So you got to show them. You got to give them some other options. You got to introduce the financial programs to them that's going to allow them to see how to save money, put some money back, because a lot of people are not financially literate. Right. Even our age.
Right.
Okay, so I want to play, once again, devil's advocate. Just like the 6 officers that was arrested. 5 of them black, 1 white in Atlanta. How quick, so within that same system that we persecuting our own black man, how quick they was brought up on charges here in Atlanta. But Minnesota, how long it took. Breonna Taylor, how long it's gonna take. Same, yes. And how long it's gonna take. So you have to understand, before you start, being a black officer, we still deal with racism. Being a black officer, within our own kind, we can be racist.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm just saying, and to rebut, I got to rebut what you said earlier. I got to, because I'm still on a civil lawsuit now because we speaking up in front on law enforcement and what's happening going on. We seen it, I seen it, other people seen it, but at the same time, just like you got a family, you got 6 kids, I got 3. I still got to feed my folks, because if I go to the black man sometimes, what? No, I ain't got it. I ain't got it.
But he spoke on it yesterday, and it didn't register with me till last night. That the money, the financial literacy part, we need to just go ahead and do a black bank. Stop going to Wells Fargo.
It's already one. I'm with Citizens Trust. I'm with Citizens Trust.
One United is already formed.
But see, we're a handful. until we can get our whole people to understand that we looking to them for help. We looking to them. We're going to their lawyers and their judges saying, "Hey, something happened in my at my occupation." Why don't we have our own?
So it's
system
up
of
to
court?
the 27-year-olds, you, Quentin. It's up to y'all to go out here while y'all on this video games. Hey, bro, this is what we need to be doing, man. While y'all shooting the shit and ain't really doing nothing, y'all need to spread the knowledge, because now you know. So ain't no excuse now.
So they looking at you as you know. So if you don't go and spread the word, so what are you doing for the community if you ain't spreading the word? You just keeping it to yourself. Who has this book? Who have you told about this book and them other books? Who have you told? So you need to spread the knowledge, not just sit there and keep it to yourself and have it on video and stuff like that. You got to spread the knowledge, because my 17-year-old might not know, but he looking at maybe his father that might not know, maybe his cousin that might not know, but his peers might know.
Real quick. The age of soapbox over. I can't go out there on the soapbox and stand up and tell them. Ain't nobody coming to the corner. So what I do is post stuff on my Instagram.
There you go. No matter how you get
I'm gonna try to get it out there. But like he said, these young kids. This generation don't want to hear that.
Okay, so you go to they at the football practice. They in football field. They at the basketball court. They somewhere crowded up. If you just reach one of them, that's all it takes. One.
I want to hear what Red got to say.
Because he's been quiet.
I mean,
he's sitting over there.
I'm listening. It's just, I think everybody has something credible to say, but it's not a quick fix. I think Brother Vincent said something. It took you 3 decades to amass all that weight. So it ain't going to just happen overnight.
Absolutely
so
not.
There is no quick fix. All that, go see the Wizard of Oz and pull back the curtain and you find out it ain't nothing but a white man and a little goof ass dog.
So I've been putting in 20 plus years on this mission, right? And I told my brother today, it don't matter how long it take you to get there, as long as you get there. So you're right. 400 years of oppression cannot be undone in 10 days, 12 days, a year, 10 years, because we got to defunct the whole system.
We got to defunct our people first.
Right.
Absolutely.
It starts at home.
Right. One thing I like about when Sharpton went and spoke at George Floyd's funeral, he said we're going to march, but we have an agenda. I told Red a minute ago, every family should go to the National.
Come on. Don't do the whole lot.
Every family should go to the African American History Museum in D.C. I thought I was educated on a lot of things, and I learned a lot just by visiting. Like, people assume racism in the days was just, I hate you because you black, I hate you because you this. It was that also. But back in the days when they marched, racism was written into the law books of America.
Absolutely.
It was written. So when you saw those marches where they was marching over the Edmund Pettus Bridge and marching on Washington, they were marching to change a system. It starts with knowledge. Yes, we need to start our black bank, but we need to, like I spoke about MWR Financial yesterday on the other show. We need to learn financial knowledge, because if you don't learn the knowledge, you're still going to somebody for a handout to do for you. We, as black men, have to learn to do for ourselves.
I think also to add, not to cut you off, Brother Vincent, we are going to have to start holding people accountable, though.
Absolutely.
If you do stupid stuff, sometimes you just got to pay for it.
Absolutely.
There is a saying that says, if you do the crime, you do the time.
Absolutely.
That's not just a cliche. That means something.
Absolutely.
So until you learn to we'll give you 1 time.
Right.
We may give you 2 times. But 3, 4, 5, brother, you got a problem.
Right.
Until you get it,
right,
we're going to hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
In fact, not even just the judicial system. We as a community, this neighborhood,
absolutely,
like Bloods and Crips,
absolutely,
we gonna check you first.
Right.
You'd be lucky if the police get to you.
And guess what? When the Black Panthers did it, they destroyed them. Yeah. But I'm not saying let's not do it. Let's learn from that situation. Let's talk to some Panthers. Let's get with some people. Say, hey, how were y'all infiltrated? We want to do the same thing y'all did.
COINTELPRO, y'all know that.
We want to teach our kids. We want to hold people in our community accountable. How can we do this and not make the same mistakes that y'all made? that's where, Red, you and I, we're in our 40s. We have to reach up because we have African American men in our society that are 60, 70, and they have hundreds of years of combined knowledge from everything they went to. If a young person has not talked to somebody who a black person who was living in the 60s and 50s, do not come tell me about history. If you haven't sit and talked to them. My mother was at Spelman College when Dr. King's body was at rest on campus. My uncles marched down the street with King. That's who we need to have a talk with.
Check this out, since you're talking about Spelman and the AUC and just the historical structure of that. My great-grandfather taught at Morehouse, mathematics. The C.B. Dansby Hall, which is the mathematics hall at Morehouse, is my great-grandfather. My name is Reginald Bernhardt Lowe, Claude Bernhardt Dansby, who taught Martin Luther King.
That's a lineage. That's a lineage.
Who taught Benjamin E. Mays.
Come on now.
So, as far as history, like I said, and just having a connection to black people, but the desire to do better, it has to start with self.
Desire.
In the home, and we could go out and preach and try to reel in until we blue in the face. But when them kids go back home to their economic structure and the struggle, that is what is gonna naturally take precedent, unfortunately. So until we can create and foster better homes and improve the family structure, even in impoverished and uneducated neighborhoods, the Bluff, Simpson Road, because I live between Mason Turner and Simpson right now. Grew up over there. So I'm just saying, until we can improve the underclass, because it ain't necessarily the talented 10th who needs the instruction and the guidance. It's really the people who know better.
Right.
So that's the struggle, and how do we get those that know not to learn, to have a desire? That's the struggle, and it's no quick fix, and we're going to eventually, hopefully, we will all.
We got to stop being afraid to communicate with our peers. If you out, I'm the kind of person, and my son said, God dang, I can't take you nowhere. But I'm the kind of person that if I see some young folks out here,
you try.
I'm going to pull them to the side. Hey, bro, you ain't even got to do all that.
But are they getting it?
Some do, some don't.
You know what I mean? Or are you just spitting in the wind?
No. I found some pictures yesterday of, and I showed my brother of when the gang members came to me after the murder we had at our school Friday. I just found the pictures last night. A whole class of students was supposed to be in the library with the Fulton County Crisis Team. They didn't want them. They was at my door. Why? Because Mama Jones has shown these children love the whole time. These gang members, these students that's in credit recovery that everybody has thrown away, ready to have a sit-in because they think Mama Jones about to lose her job, simply because I love them. And it was that simple. It was that simple. So we got to start loving each other. I told somebody in the grocery store today, hey, I love you. I don't know what them people might have been going through. But I know if I'm having a bad day and somebody gives me some positive feedback, I'm going to feel better about myself. Right? So we got to start small. It don't have to be big. It don't have to be a movement. It don't have to be televised. It don't have to be on Facebook.
Your piece of the pie.
Go out here and physically make the change. Be the change that you want to see in the world. I became who I needed. You know what I'm saying?
I think that it boils down to one word that we have really lost touch of, and I really see is discipline. All of what we're talking about is discipline. It's going to take discipline to hold yourself in anger. It's going to take discipline for every aspect of what we're doing. Everything we're talking about.
To go to school and get that homework done.
So I do you mind if I read this?
We're trying to get to. I got a question because we've been talking about men, but we're forgetting like the black women also. Before we get off this live and before we get off this video, we got to talk about the black woman, and it's gonna be real short. And because Reka just talked to a group of guys, and she broke down. I somewhat broke down. We're tired too. We've had enough. So how are y'all communicating with your significant other about being tired? Are they tired? They because when y'all are murdered on TV and murdered in the community by black or whoever, we got to deal with the rest of it.
Or even just lifting y'all up and trying to encourage y'all dealing with what y'all deal in America. You know, we the ones that's, hey baby, what you need today? Let me hug you, baby. Let me fix your food for you. You know what I'm saying? We're the ones, but we get left out, and we are exhausted. So I'm challenging our men to not only uplift each other, but hold us up.
Right.
That's back to the family structure, though.
Absolutely.
That's back to having healthy and whole families, not just baby daddies and baby mamas. See, when I grew up, we didn't hear that term. Well, that's just my baby daddy. That's just my baby mama. But currently, it has been relegated to that, unfortunately.
We got
So
songs
until
for it.
again, we somehow, it ain't no quick fix. And I don't have the magic potion. But until we can correct having the family structure back erected in the black community, even in the in the impoverished areas and uneducated areas, so what you ain't got no money? That don't mean you have to act like a damn fool.
Absolutely. Ignorance.
You can try to do better. Show me your effort. Show me you want to, more than just J's.
Absolutely.
Or the video game.
Absolutely.
Or jacking off your phone every 2 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, in my mind, accountability, healthy and whole families. There is no quick fix, but ultimately, I think we do have to get back. And then, in some ways, not to get all Reverend Kimbrough on everybody, but we do need some form of spirituality.
Absolutely. And so my brother has come up with this challenge, this new thing that we are challenging people to get on board with. And so, Vincent, if you want to go ahead and read that.
I said, and I'm Vincent Jones on Facebook. Immediate action required, June 1st, was last week. The self-improvement agenda. No more gangs. No more school dropouts. No more fatherless homes. No more beef with each other. Vote. Rap artists modify their lyrics to uplift instead of degrade and preach violence. At least 1 hour of reading every day. Make education equally important as sports. Make an emphasis to give back to your community. Stop being so individualized. Before you go to church on Sunday, take 30 minutes to call someone to say, I forgive you. Before you take an action against anyone, whether they were right or wrong, consult at least 2 people. Stop acting out of emotions and anger. Stop calling our women out of their names, period. Never raise your hand to a woman or another black person in anger. Spend time with your kids. Commit to 5 hours of family time a week. Anyone in your family. Take a self-evaluation and figure out if you're living up to your potential. Pull up your pants. Stop blaming everybody for your issues. You are responsible. Learn about long-term financial knowledge. Establish a financial strategy. Stop being so materialistic and do not overindulge. So that's a kind of a challenge I put out there because I just I'm tired, y'all.
Okay, so with you being tired and it's enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
We all we express our opinion. I got a difference of opinions. Red, Reka, you, and Jamal. But we all got to come together and unite, even though we got difference of opinions. So that in itself is enough. So, but we can still agree to disagree and still come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the goal is the same. And that's for us to be counted as human beings. Period. That's it.
And I do realize this. I want everybody to advance and I want everybody to move, but I cannot spend my lifetime on fruitless conversations. That's just like I was telling Jamal yesterday. We were talking when Moses split the Red Sea and led his people out, everybody didn't follow. But it's my hope that more of us will start to open our hearts, not our ears, open our hearts to each other, because at the end of the day, we need each other.
Absolutely.
Dr. Martin Luther King said, you can't legislate morality. So you can't vote it away. You have to develop that. That's the power of one.
Man, I'm gonna have to do that.
You have to get yourself in order on one.
Absolutely.
So again, we can vote all we want, and we can preach to him all we want, but until that little individual, regardless of his age, until he decide, hey man, I'm tired of this lifestyle, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Until he makes up his mind, she makes up her mind, man, I gotta get right. I don't like being a D or F student and getting kept back.
Right.
This shit ain't shit. Excuse my language. This ain't what it's about.
Right.
Until you take pride in yourself versus just the J's propping you up, in the clothes propping you up, in the iPhone 9000 propping you up, you're gonna have to grow, man. You have to evolve as self.
Okay, Jamal. So, like I said before earlier in the video, I just challenge for you to reach one person. I don't care if it's 30, 40, 50 people out there on the field, guys on the field. If you just reach one, you're doing your job. If you reach that one person is going to tell the other person. But that also is going to maybe 2 or 3 other people that come to you on the side. But if you just reach one with your knowledge, I guarantee you're doing your job within the community. So don't just shut down. You, like you said, we the microwave community, being 27. Reach that other microwave person. He may be instant or whatever, but reach him. He'll listen. Talk to him.
Well, I just want to thank Red, man. It's been a pleasure.
That's right, brother Vincent. All love.
Mental conversation
Jamal.
with you guys.
Salute.
And just being here, and I thank y'all for having me on the Always1Hunnid show. That's always on YouTube.
Love.
Well, we thank you guys for coming, and we're going to keep this movement going.
Definitely.
And if I could comment on that one thing you said about women right now, the black woman is God.
Definitely.
All right.
For sure.
I'm RekaJ from the A, where my homies don't play.
And I'm Tip Top.
And we are out. Peace.